Do vegan women swallow?
Food brings people together. That's right, unless you're vegan. In which case, you can leave right now. I don't give a shit. I really don't. I don't care if I offend you and your salad. You can leave. Bye. And the only reason why I'm so on the vegans is because I once was vegan. I know some of you are like, no. Yeah. I was vegan for a little under a year. Now, I know some of you are probably thinking, oh, that's not, you weren't even vegan then if it was less than a year. But think about it. Anyone who has ever gone on a diet knows just how hard it is to change your eating habits for 1 week, much less a year. And they told me, they said, you're gonna lose weight. And they were not lying. I lost weight, patience, and friends.
We eat gluten-free, which means we eat all that bread that tastes like free-range Chewbacca. We eat that lesbian bread that's like 1,000% of your daily fiber and 20% spoken word poetry. When you eat it, you queef a shitty poem about supporting Caitlyn Jenner or whatever.
So I'm sending these things out, and on the back of the invite, my wife is like, you have to put your email address on the back of the invite so my friends can email in their dietary requirements. White people dietary requirements. Holy fuck. Yo, there's no dietary requirements, okay? Chinese weddings in Malaysia, there's no dietary requirements. Chinese weddings in Malaysia, everyone shows up, we eat, some people die, and then we go home. Makes the race stronger. We're not customizing meals for weak genes. Thousands of years of Chinese weddings, people show up and die, no one complains. No one's ever written a bad Yelp review because they died at a Chinese wedding. Oh, what a tragedy. We collectively accept that as a possibility. Okay, because life is risky. I was expecting the usual, reasonable dietary requirements, right? Gluten allergy, vegan, shellfish allergy, peanut allergy, keeping it reasonable. Oh my God, the shit we got back. Spreadsheets of genetic failures. One after the other, each more pathetic than the last. Excuse me, Ronnie. Excuse me, I can't eat figs. Excuse me, Ronnie, I can't eat red pepper. Green pepper is fine, but red pepper makes my mouth red. Excuse me, Ronnie, I can't eat fried garlic. Does this have fried garlic? I have to pick the fried garlic out of the bok choy. Excuse me, Ronnie, I can't eat lettuce. The san choy bao is wrapped in lettuce. I can't eat it. From the same person.
I'd rather talk about my abortion than hear about your gluten allergy. Anytime I'm at dinner with someone when they're like, I can't have the rolls because of the gluten, I'm like, so I walked into the office. And that's just the part about how I got pregnant.
Where the fat vegans at? Any fat vegans in here tonight? Them are some lying motherfuckers, them fucking fat vegans. I don't eat that, I don't eat that, I don't eat, Have you read what's in there? I don't eat that, I don't eat. You eating something, motherfucker.
What I eat that's the main problem. I eat like a child. It's not good. He goes, let's go through like what you had for breakfast, or your whole day of eating. He goes, let's go through yesterday. And in my head, I'm like, well, yesterday's not a good day, you know. Let's pick another day. He goes, go through yesterday. I go, all right, I had donuts in the morning. And he goes, all right, was it like they were just out or something? I go, no, I drove to it. I drove to it, and he's like, is it on your way? I go, nope, I was late to where I was going because of it. He goes, what about late night snacking? And I was like, well, I had Sour Patch Kids last night. He goes, did you watch a movie? I go, no, just regular TV. And he told me, he's like, the little kid bag? I go, no, it was a bag. It was a bag of them. If you saw it without a label and someone said, hand me that bag, they wouldn't be confused on what you were asking. I always have trouble going to sleep, and I swear every doctor, it's like I eat Sour Patch Kids and have soda, and I'm like, what's going on, man? I can't. Dude, at night, my brain just doesn't stop. And you're like, yeah, dude, you can't eat Sour Patch Kids in bed. Maybe that's a problem.
Batman can go fuck himself. That guy, he's 9 years old, his parents are gunned down in front of him, and he travels the world becoming this superpowered ninja fighting. At best, Bruce Wayne would have grown up to be Gotham City's most annoying slam poet. That is the best he would have become. That's the best. He would have been he would have been like one of those trust fund. He would have been a fat vegan. I know that. He would have been a fat vegan. You ever see a fat vegan? You're like, hey, I thought you said you were a vegan. You know, Oreos don't have any animal. All right, fuck you.
So I began this health journey, and I became a person I didn't even recognize. All of a sudden, I was going to Whole Foods for like 4 hours, and $500 later, I had meals for 2 days. I was eating like the alternative, healthier versions of things like spaghetti squash, just eating it all resentful, just like, you ain't sketty. It took me forever to order at restaurants because you have to know how everything's prepared. Even my voice changed. I was like, how do you guys prepare your vegetables? Do you guys use butter or olive oil? Do you have any ghee? It's butter without dairy. They're like, ma'am, this is Hooters. But it worked. I stuck to it, and I'm now down 40 pounds. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Can you guys believe it? The belly slap works. Doctors can just smack the fat out of you. But I felt good. I'm like, you know what? I'm not that chubby little kid running through the pool anymore. I finally pulled it together. So I called my dad. I'm like, Dad, you're never gonna believe this. I am currently gluten-free. And my dad goes, gluten-free? Pussy, I understood that, but gluten-free? Girl, you're from the South. You better eat a goddamn biscuit.
But you guys are fun. You know, a lot of crowds very sensitive now. People are getting sensitive. My buddy, he's a vegan. Holy shit. I'm walking on eggshells around him. He really hates that. He's a great guy. I love him to death, but going out to eat with him's a nightmare. Every time we go out to eat, he's gonna have the Impossible Burger. You know about this thing? Looks like meat, tastes like meat, feels like meat, but it's not meat. Weird, you hate something, but you want something just like it. Oh. It's kind of like a lesbian with a strap on. You hate dick, but it looks like a dick, feels like a dick. I can't believe it's not dick. It's beyond dick.
80s weren't perfect, but I'll tell you what they didn't have. There were no safe spaces. There were no trigger warnings. And there were no fucking peanut allergies. Well, why? Because for thousands of years, the only people who could have children were ones who could hunt for food, build shelter, and fight saber-toothed tigers. Now, there are people having kids who can't eat wheat. Oh, but Christina, it's an allergy. You don't know. Well, I do know. I ain't fucking a guy that's scared of toast.
I went on vacation with my family. We went to Lake Tahoe for Christmas break. It was great. We had a great time. It was beautiful. It snowed. We had a white Christmas. And one morning, my wife said, why don't we go out for breakfast today? I said, you know what? It's a great idea. Let's go out. We put the kids in the car, and she navigated, I drove. So now she's yelping. She's trying to find a restaurant that will satisfy our requirements, which is not that easy because we have dietary restrictions between us. She's lactose intolerant. She can't have gluten. She's one of those people, messes up her stomach, you know. She's got her thing. And me, I've got life-threatening food allergies, so that's pretty nice. So if I eat a peanut, I die. So I can't see any good use for that. I've never really seen a benefit that comes from that allergy, you know. Unless, I don't know, if I were depressed, if I had a really rough stretch, I don't need a gun or a bridge or, you know what I mean? I could just go to a 7-Eleven, really, just pop in there and just grab a Reese's peanut butter cup. I'm not paying for it because I'm going to kill myself, so just grab the peanut butter, ram it in my mouth, and just dead right in front of the guy at the register. I'm sure he'd be like, what the hell was that about? This guy. But I wouldn't do that. I'm not going to do that because if you think about it, that's kind of the grossest form of littering in a sense. So anyway, between the two of us, we're just the worst table you're ever gonna wait on, you know? It's just, she finds us this place. We find this kind of health food place. We go, we park. We come inside, it's totally packed. So this is a good sign. I guess this is a popular restaurant. There's a table way over on the other side over here. We get the table. Now you gotta go up to the register and order your food, and then they give you like a little metal stand, you know, and your number. They'll bring you the food. So we order, we both get eggs and toast, some stuff for the kids, and then we're sitting there waiting for our food. Story picks up, I promise. So they bring our food out, I get all my stuff. She doesn't get her toast. See, I got the regular toast and the eggs, but she got the gluten-free toast, which comes like one piece at a time. It's got like rocks and feathers in it. It's a special sort of dust and clay. I don't, whatever this thing is. Looks like a regular piece of toast from a distance. You get closer and it just looks like a kid kind of pieced it together. You know? But she didn't get her toast, so her eggs are getting cold and she's kind of getting pissed off. So she's looking, the manager comes over, says, everything okay? She said, I ordered the gluten-free toast, you know, and I haven't gotten it. My eggs are getting cold. He's like, okay. Now here's where the story picks up. He goes, Brian. And he calls over. We look across the room, and standing next to the kitchen door is Brian, this very Olympic-looking busboy with just big shoulders, a beard, a tiny apron, just a big guy, kind of a lumberjack, snowboarder hybrid. He just looks like a superhero or something, but he's got this ridiculous little apron. So he already looks funny to me. I'm like, I'm interested. There's something here, you know? Brian, gluten-free toast. The guy just nods, disappears into the kitchen. So now we're eating, and a few minutes later, I see my wife make a face I've never seen her make before. So I look where she's looking, and there's Brian. He's come out of the kitchen with my wife's piece of toast in his hand. He's just making his way through the crowded restaurant, just holding the one piece of toast, coming. And now I've never had this experience before, seeing a grown man carry a piece of toast bareback through a restaurant, just kind of in his hand. I don't know, my whole life I've just never seen this move, you know what I mean? But he's got the toast. He gets to our table, he doesn't say anything, he just holds out the toast. My wife just takes it in her hand. She's like, thank you. And she puts it on the plate. He walks away. We both burst out laughing. We're just like, I'm immediately taken out of my life. This is incredible. I've transcended regular experience, and he's transported me by the simple act of carrying the toast like that. I'm now wondering, who's Brian? What's his story? I want to know about him. Tell me everything about this guy. What just happened? So now I start immediately theorizing and saying to my wife, I think it's probably one of two things we just witnessed. Number one, he's being a dick. He's in a bad mood, he's having a bad day, and that was it. Something just broke, you know what I mean? Maybe the manager's his uncle or something. He wasn't supposed to work today, called him in last minute, and now he doesn't even want to be here. And your gluten-free toast was the last straw for Brian. He was like, God damn toast, here's your stupid toast, lady. If your mouth were open, he probably would have shoved it right into your mouth. He's in a bad mood, and he's lashing out. We're caught in the crossfire here. And I was like, or two, he's not being a dick. I'm judging him too harshly. Maybe he's totally nice. He's a good person. He's just dumb. He's not a smart guy. And he was just like, toast, toast, toast. Got to remember, gluten-free toast. Give the lady her toast. Got to get the toast, toast, toast. Remember the toast. Here's the toast. just trying to remember that one thing, toast, toast, toast. And there he is. You see, he's back in his position. More toast. What's next? Tell me. Tell Brian. I'm Brian Toast. I was like, either way, I don't think it's a good situation that we've gotten ourselves into here. You know? And then she wasn't going to eat the toast. And then I started to get philosophical because I was like, well, hold on. Just think about it. Okay, so he touched your toast. But think when the toast pops up, you know, they touch the toast, put it on a plate, and then bring it to you on a plate. Is there that big a difference between going like that with the toast and going like this and just carrying it for an extra 80 seconds and putting it on your plate? I'm like, no, it doesn't really matter. I was like, your toast has been touched. I mean, he touched it in the kitchen. It's not like they're catching it on sterile plates and kitchens can't touch toast. I was like, they touched your toast. He touched it, he wiped his head with it, they passed it around the kitchen. It's just like, that's backstage. And I went on this whole thing about the theater of restaurants and how we're out in the house and that's backstage. And in the middle of my speech, I guess we're making kind of a commotion. The manager comes over and he goes to my wife, is everything okay? And she goes, and before she could say anything, he goes, did Brian carry the toast over in his hand? This has happened before.